Okay, so I never truly believed in ghosts until my grandmother's house made me a full-blown, terrified believer, shaking my entire worldview to its core. This wasn't some decrepit, obviously haunted mansion from a movie. It was a normal, well-maintained suburban home, yet the unsettling presence became undeniable, especially after my great-aunt Eleanor passed away peacefully in the upstairs master bedroom. For weeks following her passing, doors would open and close silently with no draft. Faint whispers echoed from seemingly empty rooms, and the distinct, overpowering scent of her favorite lilac perfume would suddenly fill the air, only to vanish mysteriously moments later. My mom and I would often catch fleeting glimpses of a tall, dark shadow moving in our peripheral vision, always just out of direct sight, and the temperature in specific spots would inexplicably plummet, causing goosebumps.
One particularly terrifying night, I was home alone watching TV when a heavy antique locket, which belonged to Eleanor and sat firmly on her dresser, flew off with surprising force and clattered loudly against the wall right in front of me. I froze, my heart pounding like a drum against my ribs, absolutely petrified and shaking uncontrollably, realizing with bone-chilling clarity that this wasn't just my imagination or the house settling, but something deliberate and undeniably supernatural. That was the night I absolutely knew Eleanor was still there, observing us from the shadows, a constant, chilling reminder that some part of her never truly left that house, refusing to move on. To this very day, the house remains in our family, and the perplexing, unexplained occurrences continue without abatement, cementing my belief that some spirits linger, forever bound to the places they loved most. I still get chills thinking about the antique music box I bought at a tiny shop upstate. It felt special, but it brought something truly evil into my apartment. The ornate wooden box, with its delicate ballerina, seemed innocent enough, yet the moment I brought it home, an oppressive chill settled in, refusing to leave my small apartment. At first, it was subtle, faint scraping noises when no one was around, shadows moving in my periphery, and the inexplicable feeling of being watched, even in broad daylight. Then, the music box started playing on its own, its eerie melody echoing through the silent apartment in the dead of night, waking me in a cold sweat with a sudden jolt. I tried to close it, but the lid would snap back open, and sometimes the tiny ballerina inside would spin wildly, even when the mechanism wasn't wound. My cat, usually playful, became terrified, hissing at empty corners and refusing to enter the room where the music box sat, his fur bristling with unseen dread. One morning, I found a small, old-fashioned doll lying on my bed, a doll I'd never seen before, its porcelain eyes staring blankly at me from under a tattered lace bonnet, confirming my worst fears. I threw the music box into a dumpster that day, hoping to banish the malevolent presence. But sometimes, late at night, I still hear that haunting melody, a chilling reminder that some things, once opened, can never truly be closed. Working the night shift as a nurse in an old city hospital, you hear stories, but I never thought I'd experience one firsthand until room 312 became my personal nightmare. It was technically a storage room, but it used to be a patient's room where an elderly woman, Mrs. Gable, known for her vibrant spirit despite her illness, had passed away many years ago. Every night, around 2 a.m., the call button in that empty room would light up, its faint buzz echoing through the quiet ward, even though it was completely disconnected. I'd walk by, flashlight in hand, and sometimes I'd swear I could hear a faint, raspy whisper calling my name from inside, a sound that would send shivers down my spine.
One particularly unsettling night, I was restocking supplies near the door when the heavy fire door slammed shut with incredible force, and the distinct scent of lavender, Mrs. Gable's favorite, enveloped me completely. The temperature in the hallway plummeted, and I felt a cold hand brush my arm, a touch so real and icy that I instinctively recoiled, my heart hammering in my chest. I sprinted away, adrenaline coursing, leaving the supplies scattered, completely convinced I was not alone in that silent, eerie wing. I transferred departments shortly after, but even now, the memory of that ghostly touch and the phantom call button makes me question everything I thought I knew about life and death.
My friends and I thought renting that secluded cabin deep in the redwood forest for a weekend getaway would be an escape, but it turned into the most terrifying experience of my life, proving some places hold dark memories. The cabin itself was charmingly rustic, but the moment we stepped inside, a heavy, oppressive silence seemed to cling to the air, making every creak of the old wood sound ominous. On the first night, odd things started happening, items moving on their own, distant, childlike laughter echoing from the surrounding woods, and persistent scratching sounds emanating from inside the walls. We tried to rationalize it as animals or old house noises, but the increasingly aggressive phenomena made it impossible to ignore the growing dread that tightened its grip on us.
One evening, as we sat around the fireplace, a heavy antique mirror on the wall opposite us violently shattered inwards, showering glass across the floor without any apparent cause. We screamed, absolutely paralyzed with fear, realizing that whatever entity resided there was not only present, but was actively making its malevolent presence known. We packed our bags in a frantic panic and fled into the darkness of the forest, driving through the night until we reached civilization, never looking back at that cursed place. To this day, the sheer terror of that night, the feeling of being hunted in our supposed sanctuary, makes me believe with absolute certainty that the spirits of the past can indeed infest the present.
Moving into my first apartment alone felt like a huge step towards independence, until a silent, oppressive shadow figure decided to become my unwelcome roommate, turning my dream into a living nightmare. The building itself was old, with high ceilings and creaky floors, but it was the perfect size for me, or so I thought before the constant unsettling feeling began. Initially, it was just a sense of being watched, a vague unease, but then I started seeing things, dark shapes darting just out of my peripheral vision, disappearing as soon as I turned my head. The worst was when I'd wake up in the middle of the night, completely paralyzed, feeling a crushing weight on my chest, unable to move or scream, while a tall, gaunt shadow stood silently at the foot of my bed.
Its presence was cold, malevolent, and suffocating, and I could feel its gaze on me, even though it had no discernible features, just an abyss of darkness. After several weeks of these terrifying encounters, marked by increasing sleep deprivation and profound fear, I finally gathered the courage to pack a single bag and flee, abandoning everything I owned. I never went back, not even to retrieve my belongings, because the fear of encountering that silent observer again was far too great to bear. That apartment and the horrifying entity within it forever shattered my skepticism, confirming that some darkness isn't just a trick of the light, but a malevolent, tangible force. I always scoffed at ghost stories until the night I took a shortcut through the abandoned park on Elm Street and encountered something that still haunts my dreams, convincing me that children's spirits sometimes get left behind. The park had been closed for years after a tragic accident involving a child on the swings, and it now stood decaying, a monument to forgotten laughter. As I walked through the rusted gates, a profound silence fell, heavy and unnatural. Even the crickets seemed to cease their chirping, replaced by an eerie stillness. Then I heard it, the faint, rhythmic creaking of a swing set, slowly moving back and forth, even though there wasn't a breath of wind stirring the dead leaves.
My blood ran cold as I peered through the gloom, seeing a small, indistinct figure seated on one of the swings, swaying gently, completely alone in the vast, empty darkness. I froze, my heart pounding, unable to move, when a child's faint, melancholic humming started, echoing across the deserted playground, just barely audible. The air around me suddenly grew intensely cold, and a wave of profound sorrow washed over me, a feeling so acute it felt like my own, making me realize this wasn't some trick of the light. I fled that park screaming, never looking back, and now, years later, the memory of that lone humming child on the swing set is irrefutable proof to me that sometimes the innocent souls never truly leave their playgrounds.